All right, we're just going to walk through, I call it week 2 overview, but some things that have come up or tips and tricks and like that, helping you be productive. One thing, and it kind of maybe got us a little bit in TechPrac 00, is how important it is to get the deployment names and locations exactly right. You might say it's just a little arbitrary. You made up a name, I could make up a name, but you got to kind of think that that deployment. Here's my deployment page for me. It's important. I don't have the synopsis. I haven't done all the work. But if we're on a team project and we're telling people where they can find things, there is that kind of standard about, where things go. So always double check the names and that you've done it as identified in the specs. I'm usually fairly clear about what goes on. Now yours won't look like this. You will have an images, but you'll have a synopsis. Instead, you might not have some of this other stuff. Extra stuff doesn't hurt, but the things that I'm looking for, it's important. Partly because get used to doing it a way that you specify, and if you'd like another way, then when you're developing your own pages or in charge, do that. So always pay double good attention to the exact names, and I'll try to be flexible and say, okay, give it another try, but we ought to be better about, okay, I've read the specs and I see where we're going. Plus we get more familiar with the standards and how to do things. So that's just reminding you to check that. One thing that bit a few people, I'm getting back up into the VM now. By the way, here I'm just on my main computer, but here I am looking at the site. If I'm in what's called File Explorer or Windows Explorer, and as a default, file names extensions aren't being viewed. So I'm in the View tab here, and with that, it really is kind of painful to me. It's telling me it's an HTML document. It's really not a Chrome HTML document. I think I opened it in Chrome most recently. Maybe Chrome is the default. So this is really bogus. But I'm not getting a good sense of the names. So if you were to look at it this way and say, oh, he told me to make it about me. I meant to right click about me .htm. Well, I can know how to do that. So there it is. That's about me HTM. But and I recommend you do this straight away on every computer you're on, but certainly when you're up in the server, what you've done is basically hosed the reference to this, because the file name was aboutme.htm. Now we have an extra HTM, and when I go look for aboutme.htm, I don't find it, and all I say is big zero, but we'll figure it out. But one way that really helps with that is to make sure that when you're looking with File Explorer, Windows Explorer, this tool, that you are looking at file name extensions, so you see the true name of the file, because that's how the web will reference it, and that's how I reference it when I'm kind of checking your work. There is this issue, well, how come it's HTML and not HTML? And they really would work the same, now changed to HTML file in terms of the description, but in terms of the accessing on the web and that kind of thing, there is no difference. So when you're doing it, use what you like, use what the boss or the team has agreed to do, but just be consistent. For this class, I somewhat arbitrarily, HTML files, they'll always end .htm, but nothing wrong really with the .html, or even if you put a .text extension, if you had a doc type of HTML and fed it to a browser, it would do the right thing. But just make sure it's .htm for this class. That's our standard. Not a biggie, but we'll get used to that. Another thing I would do is avoid spaces and special characters in web file names. It's not the end of the world, but you notice that I never have spaces, and a few of you, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, or you made it about space me. So this is the about me. You might notice that I had up here, and I have one that has a file space in it. Okay, that reads a little easier. file spaces in names and special characters in file names really can just get you into a little bit of trouble, confusion. Sometimes the space is a delimiter, and so you only get the about. If you were to find that page, it's a little different because I didn't update it. So I'm now going to the about space me. It's not a problem that the web browser can't find it if you put in a space. Remember, or keep in mind that this file is a different file. So, it looks different. It wrecked the file. No, that's what's in the about space me file. But notice what it did to the URL. That's confusing. Between the about and me, I put %20. So the URL wants to be spaceless. When you put a space there, what it did was say, okay, I'm going to put you the ASCII code for a space. And the percent means I'm starting an ASCII code that I'm expressing in hexadecimal, and 20, or 32 to us in decimal, is the ASCII code for a space. So it's really putting the space there, but boy, it kind of fouls up the URL look, and it could lead to other problems. So we might get to a point where, make up your own file names. I just care that it works in lengths. I would avoid spaces, and similar thing happens, with special characters. If you wanted a character bigger than, less than in a file name, I just wouldn't go there. It can be done. It just sometimes leads to problems or issues that are a little bit, hard to deal with. So avoid spaces, and don't neglect, doing your validations. So we have, this place. There's other places. So if I wanted to validate this HTML, and I have done in a couple of videos, then you just put the URL, kind of maybe wait this till you think you're done, but check it, and all right. So that had no warnings to show. But in another video about doing images, I show you where this validator does highlight some issues that you need to fix to get it to be standard. All right, so don't neglect that. Save that for the end of the line. Development versus deployment. A lot of my videos, I'm going back up in here now, I do my work in the root, or in my website. And the thing is, when you make a change here, it's live. And if somebody was looking at it and refreshed their page, then they would see it. And that's one of the reasons, I do it, especially for demos and that kind of thing. For a small change or something, you're not it's not going to be a problem. But if you have a oopsie here and get rid of a file that you meant to keep, I guess you can recover it if it's in the recycle bin or something. But a better way to develop is, something like, and this is where I maybe confused a few students, I had things like TP00 and TP01. Those are folders in my documents folder, and I made a folder called AIST2220, and I was keeping assets for each assignment in there. I didn't really use them entirely. I have an about me in there, but maybe my and the synopses and that kind of thing. So you might do your development in these folders, and then when it actually looks good, looking at the file from the file system, right, you can see what these things look like. But notice this is being served up from the file system, and that's okay. Nobody else in the world can see it. So that's another thing. If we had a production website, people were using this and banging on it, and we're in the process of correcting it, we don't want them to see something that's like a dry run, or we're not done yet. So develop it outside the website, maybe in the documents folder, something like this, up here on the VM. Or some of you like to develop your HTML on your own computers, or maybe you have a web place that will help you develop it, help develop HTML for you. That's fine. But when it's ready to go, the deployment needs to go into your website, and again with usually a particular structure, file names, folders, and that kind of thing. But kind of develop. And the benefit here is by kind of doing things this way, when you've deployed something, maybe you've deployed TP00 and you're working on TP01, and maybe by copying what you had for TPOO, and then you get I blew it here. I really made a mistake. I'd like to just get back to where I started. Well, you have a copy of where you started in that case that's out in the production site. Probably not a bad idea to make a backup copy of these folders, especially when we have a complex and multifaceted website. But kind of think of dev area, production area. All right, and I think the last thing I just wanted to talk about, and this works similarly on a Mac, and I maybe needed to have added something in there to do it on a Mac, but I'll show you how to do it on a PC. Just reach out if you say, I like that trick, how do I do it on a Mac? But if you develop your files on your own computer, and you have them. This is where I do my class site. Okay, it's over here, and you say, okay, I've got this HTML, and it's right, or maybe even a couple of files that I would like to have. You can highlight those files just like you're copying. So that's on that machine. Pop up into the the space up here, and paste, and they'll come up. So good way you can just deploy into your web folder. I just pushed them there to get them. Oh, and I'm using HTML on my website, and I told you we're doing HTML for class. Arbitrary, just be consistent. But that's how you do it. There is another way, a little more dramatic, that you can do this. And I think it happens when so I'm going to sign out. I should have practiced this. It's been a while since I've done it. But if I go and use remote desktop connection, then I'm coming in. But if you go to options, you can do, say, local resources and audio. And down here in local resources, you could make some drives available. So if you wanted your C drive of your computer you're remoting in from available when you went in there, well, I just checked that. I thought there was a way to make individual folders, but okay, you can at least do C drives. So now when I connect, and just click OK on that kind of screen that popped up, that because we kind of changed the connection a little bit. Come on. So it's a new login. And if I open up the file system, there is C on, I'm working from a Surface, and I've named that computer Surface. So I can double click. It's not going to be the fastest because it's kind of got to upload, but you can go into your documents folder. I'm TSCH on my thing, and this, as I say, it'll be a little slow because what it's doing is uploading all this. But I have, it's like now I've got my C drive folder, and I can copy to from it. Up on the thing. As I said, for a whole drive, it's a little bit, but maybe if you had just a place, I got a lot to copy, that might be something to look at. All right, so I think that was everything I kind of wanted to kind of just cover here. So I hope it helps you maybe be productive and move along. Just little, sometimes it's not doing the HTML, it's all the surrounding stuff that's important. But until next time, take care.